Thank you, Nicole, for a really neat introduction. What you're about to see is very messy because movement, it's not neat. Oops. Oh, there you go. So when Nicole invited me to talk here, I'm like, oh my God, I love Creative Mornings. I haven't been to one because it clashes with my Pilates schedule. And she's like, that's okay. My first Creative Mornings, I was talking there as well. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess, And we found out that our birthdays one day apart. So, talk about coincidences. But okay, back to the word movement. I wasn't sure, how to bore you guys. Should I talk about my work? Should I talk about my life? But I thought, I'll make it bigger. Let's talk about, movement as a modern human. And I'm going to use myself as a case study because I have a feeling a lot of you would relate to what I'm about to show. So, 0 to 17 years old. What made me as a, emo teenager? This was Fantasia. Who's seen this? Okay, great. Because that was kind of it's so funny doing this. I reflected on my life and it hasn't changed much. I still work in books. I still wear hats and I still feel quite confused, like Mickey. It was actually my favorite childhood thing. And then of course He-Man. And it's quite funny, Netflix is redoing all my favorite nostalgic cartoon, basically saying, oh, I'm old and retro. Super Mario Bros, which is quite funny. Who here didn't know Tetris? Amazing, everyone knows Tetris. I don't know if you guys played Tetris, but there's a really good Tetris remake on PlayStation 5. But I spoke to a friend recently, she's a boomer, and she's like, what is Tetris? I'm like, okay. Don't know if you guys, grew up with lots of Lego, and I guess what I'm also, maybe before I talked about this one. I guess childhood was very creative. I was, living in my own world in a way, but also I grew up in Indonesia. I was born in Indonesia, and in Indonesia, you have to have a religion. You got to choose though, at least we have 5 options. My parents sent me to a Christian school, and that's a scene from Revelation, which is the most exciting part of the Holy Bible I taught. I read the whole Holy Bible, but I read this a couple times because it's cool. It's got monsters and stuff. But also I was really I've been curious since I was a child, and I really did find the Hindi religion and tales really magical. So anyway, just giving you a little background of where I came from. And in Indonesia, there's this amazing temple called Borobudur, which is probably one of the biggest Hindi temple in the world. Buddhas? Hindi, I'm pretty sure. But since I was a child, I was kind of oh my God, talking about movement. I'm always in awe in what humans made. And I'm as a little baby, I was how did, Dad, how did they do this? And I was always attracted to big things. And of course, Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon, this was probably the first time I had my identity crisis. Am I a boy or a girl? Because I've got a brother and he loved Sailor Moon and I loved Dragon Ball, and our parents were freaking out. This is Surabaya. This is where I grew up. It's a city. It's a bit of green here and there, but I never saw nature much growing up. So all I knew was concrete jungle, tall buildings and all that stuff. Again, my obsession with big things. I've actually haven't been to 6 of them. I've only been to the Colosseum. There's still time. And of course, who can relate to this? Asian girls in the room? Great, yeah. I was my mom forced me to play piano until I got a teacher certificate only to do this at school. I was in a band. Also back then I was the only girl in the band because I don't know.
Which one's you?
I'm the one with the guitar, but it was red, not blue. And then Dad, this was my first album, and I thought, oh yeah, that's cute, love songs. He didn't give me the blue one, probably for a good reason. But my friends wanted, me and my friends listened to Backstreet Boys, but really what I listened to was Red Hot Chili Peppers. I know, but also, there, I think I was about like 14, 15, and I don't know, I was so like tuned to MTV, and music videos around that time was amazing. And I remember seeing this video at first, and I'm like, whoa, you could do 3D stuff, and I don't know, make sharks and stuff. And also gorillas, who remember that? I found that creativity is within all of us, but I felt I was really challenged. I was really inspired when I saw those music videos, and I really wanted to know how to make them. I started drawing, I started getting obsessed with culture, trying to kind of understand layers of narratives far away, like being away in Surabaya. I really didn't have any cultural context when I see all these music videos. And don't know if you guys remember MIRC. It's my first window to the whole world. I was actually a chat room queen. I own a really popular channel in my town. And Friendster. It's quite funny. Who had pen pals back in the day? Yeah, like how amazing was that? Like, and I was really curious. I had a lot of pen pals and obviously and Friendster and all that stuff. Just making friends from all over the world. Internet was so wild. It was so great. Now everyone knows everyone, and you know people before you even met them. And of course, Adobe Photoshop 6.0. I think I was about 16 back then. Got in trouble in school because I need to eat the microphone. I got in trouble a lot at school because play time I'll be sketching. Computer time where you're supposed to do Excel, I'll be like on Photoshop and all that stuff. And Dad was like, "You really like this Photoshop thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, Dad." And then I'm very privileged. My parents really saved up and worked hard to kind of send me out overseas. That was no option though. It has to be Sydney, Australia, because my uncle is here. And in case I'm naughty, I guess he's like, just, catch her. So I moved into this beautiful city when I was 17, and that was kind of like a wrap up of chapter 1, my first big move. It was amazing. It was just me by myself, no parents, new friends, and the whole Sydney for me. Obviously, didn't really appreciate the hard work until recently. Silly me. So 17 to 27. So sadly or happily, this was my best friend when I moved here because I thought I spoke English. Went to calls and went to pay up for things, and I'm like, what? But that quickly was fine. And if you're wondering what my accent is, I think it's because of I hung out with a lot of Scandinavians back in uni. I don't know if I even sound like that, but I tried to get an Australian accent, but I've been failing. And I went to University of Technology Sydney, studying visual communication. And I didn't know what design was. I thought it was drawing, and little did I know. But that was also exciting because I thought okay, I'm here, I'm learning something. I was a good student. I graduated without, I was thriving in uni, I was thriving, I had friends and all that stuff, but I didn't really know what living in Australia is like. And working was the first really foray into Australian culture. I worked for Penguin Books for 8.5 years. It was my one and only job because I knew I wanted to do books. And I don't know at what point that feeling came into my creativity, but I just thought, okay, I'm gonna give it a go, saw a thing, went for it and got it. And I quickly realized that boredom is a creative's best friend. And I got reassured of this thinking recently, reading an article by Tom Dixon saying that if you're restless, be a designer, because it will fulfill you. So it's a good takeaway, I thought. And yeah, got to know, Australian pubs. You know, had my first beer, and I was like, now like give me some pale ale. I can scold them. And I also in Penguin Books I got placed into a very luckily illustrated department, which published a lot of cookbook. It's so much good food. It was actually amazing, like learning Australia through food. And I guess food is like probably one of the best thing to learn about culture. I just put beef Wellington there because I just that there was one really good beef Wellington, and I thought my job was great. And then I went traveling, like worked for a few years, saved up a bit, and I went around Europe a bit. But one thing that really spoke to me was this really bizarre, still big buildings, really bizarre merge of like architecture, but also of nature. And I was really in awe by it. Like it's like wow, I can't quite tell what it is. It feels alien, but it's great. I don't know, like, and the colors were just speaking to me. And I think maybe like when I thought about it, when I was preparing this slide, going somewhere and kind of like not realizing what you're seeing, but just soaking up everything, one day it might come back to you, and like that little moment inspire you a lot in what you do. Maybe like I can see here like, oh yeah, I guess I see where my love of color from and organic shapes and da 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 da. Then I went to New York, totally different to Europe, like old city, new city. Again, was in awe of how big everything is. I was, as Nicole mentioned, I was just there 2 weeks ago, and it's crazy how we live in this one planet, but we live in such different pace and such different scale. Everything was mega there, and made me feel good about making a choice about where we live, because it's all a choice, I guess, and nothing's better than the other. And then when I look at this now, it's like, oh my god, so dated. But this was my claim to fame. Long story short, when I was in Penguin as a young designer, you started off by cutting up stuff, and then you got given the really bad titles like the movie tie-ins and the, no offense, like pregnancy books and gluten-free cookbooks. It's just like, oh my god. But then yeah, like I got given this one job, and it came, I think they gave it to me because they knew I was really hungry as a young person, but also nobody wanted to touch it because the author came with a folder, a big thick folder with just cutouts, and like, make a book out of this. Yeah, amazing. But I feel like through this exercise, I kind of found what being a designer meant to me. Because I guess, and you'll see it later, but like it's not about my vision, it's about her vision through me. And the book is a jumble. It's a jumble of treatments. You've got like contemporary typefaces and layouts. Juxtaposed against like really kind of like crafty stuff, handwriting, and I don't know how I got it that time, but I managed to get like some die cuts in the book and fold outs and all that stuff, and yeah, it was really a flex into my creativity, like my craft, not so much creativity, I would say. I mean, it is a bit of both, but back in publishing is a, maybe this is a dangerous one, but publishing sounds glamorous, but it's actually not, because sometimes we have to work with limited budget, and because of that, I ended up making a lot of things myself, drawing myself, illustrating myself, and I got really good at it as well. And yeah, like just fun stuff like this, and you get to really get obsessed with like technical stuff. It was a really fulfilling time, and I won some awards for it, became someone, whatever that means. And then came Instagram. Yay, MIRC 2.0. But it's even better because it's got visual. You can kind of see who you're dating before you choose to talk to them. Do I like your stuff? Maybe not. No DM. What did I? Yes. Oh, sorry. This is what I wanted to kind of emphasis on. Being a designer, I feel you should kind of let go of your ego because it's really not your project, it's their project, but you're helping people. And when I realized that, actually my ex-boss told me that, and I'm like, yeah, of course, because obviously, you know, we all as individuals want to make a mark in the world as ourselves, and maybe being a designer actually is liberating because you kind of do creativity but without all the ego, and you just get to like explore, and I love that, still love it 15 years in. And then like since that book I started owning my I guess specialty and kind of like and this is one thing that I wanted to talk about, moving as well, like how do you move something into a different space but still make it comfortable. I used to think that being designer, you know, you got to be cool and do cool stuff, but actually no, you're creating commercial products at the end of the day, and it's, you know, how do you talk excitingly to your people. So George Calamares, Master Chef, all the sales and marketing people, I call them S&M because they're very boring sometimes. Although, yeah, it doesn't work, but yeah, S&M like would probably freak out with a illustration of a lemon, and they probably just want to put George's mark on the cover. But we managed to not to, and actually when the trifecta happened, when I said trifecta, it's like the author, the publisher, and the designer kind of had one vision. You get to do fun stuff like this, and George actually was like, no, I don't want my face on the cover. Yay! And then yeah, like you could see I did put a lot of like artistic touches to this, drawing from his Greek heritage and making it like really fun. Yeah. And then like this is also another good example of me shifting genre. Like back in the day, 2014, there's a lot of like, who remembers Eat, Pray, Love? Yeah, so big genre in publishing, sold so many copies, but then oh my god, I can't make that look like that handwriting looked so twee. So when I was given this job, I was like, oh no. But I think I managed to make it look okay, like, and not as like twee as it should be, and it did well. It sold in the market probably because it looked different. And this is another example of, this is actually probably the last kind of job at Penguin that I did, that I was kind of like, okay, I really own my my expertise. Again, the brief, nobody wanted to touch this job. 3 years, different designers, and it just went around like circles, and I'm like, okay, what do you actually want? And the author was like, tea on every page. All right, I'll give you that. And I actually did. There were tea on every single page, and that was it, really. Oh, the best part of this job was like, so I need to put tea on every page. Can you send me like all the tea leaves? Because I need them to draw. And next day, like a big giant box full of tea. I was very popular in the office for a month. Yeah, it was fun. That was like 10 years ago, maybe, I don't know. And then I got bored. Amazing. Because I guess like that whole midwife thing, I'm like, maybe I want to be the parent. I don't want to be a midwife anymore. And I started like teaching myself how to paint. And I wasn't doing it to show, but because of Instagram. And I mean, maybe a little part of me wanted to kind of show that to the world. I posted like a little study like this big. And my curator friend back then, who was also studying in art, her name is Amber Creswell Bell. She's a big shot now, and she's got 5 books talking about different art and stuff. But yeah, like this was my first ever show, a group show with Amber and a bunch of artists in Mild Manners Gallery. That's not there anymore. But yeah, I was kind of like, ooh, I can't call myself an artist. You know, imposter syndrome just kind of like took over, and you're like, whatever, I'll do it again, but I'll do a solo, but in Melbourne, because if it's a failure, nobody will know. I know, it's stupid, isn't it? But yeah, like it was really fun. Sold all the paintings, which was back then, I guess like it's a validation. I know it's so silly, why do we need to be validated by our peers? Because we care. But yeah, like we got an ice cream truck, the whole studio's painted pink, all my friends were there. It was good. And then I became a bit older. Who here knows about Saturn return? Yeah, okay, 27. Whoever's turning 27, don't waste it, like take care of it, because it is real. Like, Google it. I'm not going to talk about Saturn return because it's going to be an hour. But yeah, change is good. What does it mean? I lost my job, dear. Yeah, Penguin and Random House merge, and they think, you know, cookbooks and all that stuff are not profitable. That's fine. I'll just go traveling. Why not? Went to Japan to check out this pumpkin like everyone else, but then and ended up being in awe by this amazing artwork by Walter de Maria in Chichu Museum in the same island, Naoshima Island. And I was just like, that was a moment there that was kind of like, whoa, I'm so small, but I'm so big at the same time. And I'm myself, and I'm part of a bigger thing, but I'm myself. It was so weird. Like, sorry if I sounded a bit woo-woo, but you do have that feelings when you see something, and it's very rare, and things make sense. So yeah, but I also started getting, maybe this is age showing as well, like I started to appreciate nature, having been like doing concrete jungle for ages. Was chasing autumn in Japan for a few years, and then ran out of money and kind of like, okay, I guess I'll have to find something more local, and started bushwalking and found this beautiful wedding rock. I mean, I didn't find it, it's quite famous. But yeah, it's like the first bushwalk I did, and I was like, oh, maybe Australia's pretty cool. And I got lucky and I got a dog. Because I'm too scared of a baby human, but baby dog, give it to me. Yeah, following that, job slash, I'll talk. Who's seen this movie? Amazing! How amazing is it? Like inter-creature love. And I kind of like put this up on the screen because I thought I can't quite describe my love for my dog. And I feel like this movie kind of says it all. Maybe not in that way, but like I just love my dog. But if you haven't seen this movie, watch it. It's amazing. Big topic, work. And then, lost my job. I thought, well, I still want to do books. There's no other place in Australia I want to work for when it comes to books. So then I started my own studio. It sounds so sexy. It's just me and 3 empty tables. I moved from Surrey Hills, sexy Surrey Hills, to grungy Marrickville, and it was scary. It is scary. It's like kind of like, what am I doing? And in December, I think that was October, and one day before Christmas holiday, there's this like email from this angel saying, oh, your studio's work's amazing. Can I get an apprenticeship? I'm like, you do realize it's just me. And she came in. She's still with Evi O studio of 6 now, not 1, but she's now, her name's Susan, and she's now our art director. But we were kicking, well, I guess back in Lantern or like Penguin, I was working in-house in a way. There was house rules, there were rules to follow and to break, but when you were running your own studio. And to be honest, like I didn't know why I started a studio. I just wanted to work in books and continue doing that. But it was the best thing ever in terms of work. There's no limitation. I could do whatever I wanted. This book here kind of was our first foray into UK publishing as well, because in another in Australian publishing, we're a bit too gifty. And I don't know, you guys like gifty stuff, right? Like you like things to look good, right? It's hard to convince people in Australia that, you know, making something pretty means sales. They just think if it's too pretty, it won't sell. And like, there's this design award that's like focused in book called ABDA. And they said, oh yeah, everything that wins ABDA won't sell. I'm here to prove that wrong one day. But yeah, like Japanesey was, again, kind of like my things I love. It was kind of like my next evolution as a creative design, book designer thing, illustrator stuff. And I had fun doing directing photography, doing crazy typography, drawing stuff, making grids look interesting, and blah, 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 blah. And then I also, my creativity at that time was just like overflowing, and I managed to kind of also encapsulated a new, more ownable look in my art practice as well. You know, when you squeeze and compress, sometimes you do squeeze out the best stuff as well. And I feel like at that time, yeah, I think I can do this stuff. Little did I know. But also my dog's grown, and you know, my paintings turned into merchandises. It was exciting time. And then actually Japanesey kind of broke cookbook record in the UK, not in Australia, and they requested us to do more of the books in the series. This one was an ode to oh god, mind blank. There's a really cool Japanese designer / artist that I kind of like do an ode to, because this whole book, Tokyo Stories, is based on food you find in different levels in Tokyo. So it starts from Depachika, which is like kind of like the department store where you got like the cheap onigiri and stuff, up to like Tokyo Modern, where you get like the sexy cocktails and stuff. But I got to play my childhood dream of just replaying like Japanese pop culture. Like I'll show you in a bit. But like, yeah, Yakuza stuff mixed with tonkatsu and Dragon Ball. If you can see it there, number 4, the most elusive. I got really nerdy, and you know, like playing around with like Japanese old culture as well, octopus and whatever it means. And sumo players with some stuff, throwing Naruto. It was really fun. And it did well again. And I'm like, maybe I'm actually good at doing this stuff. So when, you know, I put the pumpkin on the front of the vegan one, it was full gold and embossed. So, and by that time, I think I was in like my early 30s, and I'm like, maybe I'm okay. Maybe I could do this. And I started gaining confidence, and my galleries have been trying to make me do a solo in Sydney, but I was so scared, and she gave me an offer that I could say no to, which is 10 minutes. She said, yeah, we'll get there. Sydney Contemporary solo, which was great. And then of course this was my team in 2019. We haven't got a new photo, so, but like, long story short, I also started to take seriously what identity means and what you can kind of do when you know what you are and how you can contribute to the world. I'm not going to go deep into this because we don't have time. And then as a team, our work grew as well. We started doing more stuff in brands as well as books. Is Brad here today? Yay! That's his book. It's amazing, by the way. Check out his work. And I got to do stuff that I wanted to do when I was at Penguin in my own terms, which I think is in a way better. Oh, this one is cool because talking about spiritual, so again about moving genre, we did this series that kind of blew up because you've seen Zodiac books before. It looked like it was done in Photoshop 6.0, but we made it cooler, and then it got turned into a really luxurious handbags by Olympia Latan, which was cool. And then we were really known for doing this factor stuff, but then I got bored again, and I think at the moment I'm kind of hot in making things look very crafted again, like bringing human stuff into anything that we've designed, because I think we're at a stance where in the present, we have the choice to kind of explore the past or the future, with VR and AI and all that stuff, or, do we go back and explore craft and preserve that thing that we've done as humans. But also, like stuff like this are very forward-thinking. I'm not going to go deep into it because we don't have time. The whole Asian girls thing, we kind of own, even though we didn't try to just make a design studio full of Asian girls. We're not all Asian, by the way. We never hire by race because that would be wrong. And Millie is here as well. What I wanted to say is, I guess I'm lucky that I'm exposed to a lot of creatives in many generations, from the boomers who don't know Tetrises to the young ones that know anything, more than anyone that knows anything about anything. And this is a later work, a recent work that I kind of want to share, because I feel like as a creative I've shifted as well in terms of what I like. You could see that I got really bored here because I utilized 34 typefaces or something, and the publisher's like, what's the typeface build? I'm like, that's fine, they're all the fonts. You just have to credit them, it's all fine. But yeah, I got to really flex my thing, and blah 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 blah. No. I made, this is another trifecta where the author, publisher, and designer get to work really closely and share the vision. Which artist would allow me to make their work dance? Not many. So I don't know if I would ever do this again. And then of course working on something that's totally, completely different. You'll see what I mean now, but being a designer is great for the bored and the restless. Some recent work, I just kind of want to show off what the team's done, really. That's Hard Book Wall. And then came the big pandemic. This is a red card that me and my newfound love interest then found on our road trip to the Blue Mountain, because we could, there was no restaurants open, and we just went on road trips and kind of found new meanings in being in nature. And I found my new temples and my new big buildings in trees and mountains and caves and oceans and all that. This is only in Macquarie Pass, so only 2.5 hours drive from Sydney, and it looked pretty similar to that Chichu artwork that I saw in Japan, and it was that same feeling that really humbled me. And I don't know, I guess when you move and you found things like this, you found meanings or questions. And this is the book that Nicole was talking about. On the right is the one for dogs, and on the left for humans, so take your pick. And I think we're all aliens, because I realized when I was walking nature that sometimes we look too much into our society and forgot that there are other societies out there that probably are doing the same thing, probably are as confused as all we are, and it's all fine. And this was just a collab artwork thing inspired by nature. And I thought I'd play this because I thought I'll be a musician during the pandemic. It's a bit silly, but I'm with music, guys. Let's have a quick break. I didn't animate that, my friend Will did. We went to Melbourne for 3 months last year, again in the pursuit of understanding nature and writing the Melbourne version of our books. It's quite funny, if we're not doing the books, we probably wouldn't work Earth as much. And so it's good to get. Oh yeah, and I got really existentialist when I was in Melbourne and came up with this thing, be a cat or a frog. I also watched this movie, Emily, of Emily Bronte. I don't know if anyone's watched it. But anyway, long story short, she wrote Wuthering Heights and died, and she was like 21. And I'm like, how great that was. And like, she's still celebrated. And now I feel like we live so long, we have to keep doing things. So, gotta. And like, there is this pressure of like, you know, you gotta keep evolving and proving to the world that you're something. So that's why I thought like, yeah, be a cat or a frog, like change, have 9 lives, turn into nice things. And I realized that this is my way of life at the moment, but I think reading philosophy is good to understand things and connect the body to the mind and the soul. I think that's pretty obvious because I started doing spin classes. As you've seen, I haven't done much exercise as a person until the bushwalking, and I was really unfit, but spin classes made me strong. And this is my goal when I'm 82. That's why I miss Creative Mornings, pardon me. Not gonna talk too much about this because we're running out of time. And here we are now, post-pandemic. Has anyone felt like, why is this, you know, what's this life about after, you know, the big COVID? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, it's so deep. It's so hard. And like, I watched this thing called Stats on Netflix, and the first thing he said was, in reality, there's always pain, uncertainty, and constant work. It sounds depressing, but it's actually really liberating, I thought, because, okay, well, if everyone's going through the same things, then I guess we can survive it together. If you haven't watched it, it's really good, and it's kind of talking a lot about moving and keep moving to make sense of things. And that was kind of like my own personal take after that existential crisis in Melbourne. A show of 48 paintings based on Australian animals, because I kind of want to tell people, look, there's other lives. If you don't like this life we live in, look into other people's lives. It might not be as good, but you know, as a bee, you gotta keep working as well. And it turned into something. And my work got interesting, I guess, hopefully, by moving into different things. Again, restlessness got me into exploring different dimensions, 3Ds, and making things into a bigger scale. And then I made paintings fly as well. Photoshop 6.0. And that's it. That's all I got today. But what I'm saying is move, because moving is good.